Hello, beloved consumers. This is Unical Unicron,
And this is Jeremy Garner.
and this is UNICAST. Today's topic is belief makes real. Because it does. Belief actually makes real. And I actually was looking through my journal recently and I saw this whole page that I had written to whoever was reading. And I was saying, this is a very difficult truth. And I really prepared the reader for like a whole page before I even said what I was going to say, because I was like, this is really hard to hear, because most people don't want to hear that belief makes real, because the world feels like everything is just happening to them so much. And so when you say belief makes real, it can really make some people grumpy. I think that some people would have a really hard time with this concept, and I don't blame them, because the world feels like so chaotic and I don't know. I don't think it's something that most of us really have ever like learned growing up, and there's not like a lot of reinforcement for that fact.
Exactly. I'm thinking like if you're told that belief makes real, then you start thinking that all the bad things in your life, like you've somehow created them, and then I think that can be like a hindrance to some people as well. Like by saying belief makes real, and then these things that seem to be out of our control that are so terrible, do we take the flak for them, or I,
Yeah, that's a super good question. And the way that I've worked around that in my like own philosophy is that all the bad things aren't your fault, but you can take control of them. Maybe they've been happening, like the bad things in your life have been happening to you, like, and there are certain like chaotic things that do happen that are outside of your control, but what really matters is like how you react to them. So
yeah, so true.
belief based realism is such a big topic, like, because we're like right now we're talking about like reality creation. Even just thinking about like when you see like a red Jeep and you start noticing red Jeeps everywhere,
Hmm.
and you're like, why do I keep seeing all these red Jeeps? And like that's just because your awareness is on them. So it's almost like attention makes real.
I think there is like this ancient saying, something like, hmm, energy goes where attention flows. I think that's what it is, and that's pretty much how I see it, because like once you start focusing on something, then that's going to just draw more of that into reality. So it's not so much manifesting it as noticing it. It's already
I've
there.
never, yeah, I've never even heard that saying. It's perfect. Belief, wait, energy flows where attention goes?
Yeah, it's so true. Because like we think that we're having to like bring these things out of nowhere, but it's like they're already there. Everything already exists, and we're just having to put our attention on it and realize that it's already ours. So when people are talking about manifesting money and stuff, and they're always saying like think about it from a position of like I have this, this is mine, like that whole present now mentality. I think that that's really because it really is already there. It's just that our attention has been diverted from it, so we're not noticing.
Yeah. Sorry, I have this like watch on my desk and it's the alarm's going off, but I don't exactly know where it is. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, no, I love that idea of like, I don't know, my friend today was talking about she wants to work in a flower shop.
Okay,
And she's
cool.
like, well, I just don't know what to do. Like, I think I'm just gonna send my resume out to like every single flower shop. And I said, yeah, because you know it exists, like that potential exists. There is a flower shop out there that will hire you. Like that
Exactly.
exists. You just have to find which one. And that goes back to like what we've been talking about so much lately with like manifestation, and like how people are always trying to focus on like one specific thing, and that works okay, but it's sometimes much better to just focus on like a feeling, or because it's so much easier to think like I'm gonna feel successful, and I want to feel successful, and like to feel successful doesn't depend on like all of these specific things, and you don't have to worry so much about all the specific things, and then the specific things just start happening to you in the best way that they can.
Exactly. I think that concept was first, like I'd heard it before, but it was really strongly introduced to me by watching Christina Martin's videos, because she talks a lot about the idea of like once you feel like once you get what you want, it's ultimately just going to lead to a feeling. So like you can already have that feeling without having those things that you think you want, and that's a pretty powerful thing to come into realization of as well. But the great thing is that when you feel those feelings that you would feel if you were to have those things, that's the very vibration needed to actually bring those things into existence. So it's kind of like a win-win.
Yeah, that's belief. Like when you believe in a feeling, that's like probably the most or an emotion even. Like if you believe in an emotion, like I don't know, that's probably the most powerful thing that you could do for your manifestation, for your worldview, for your own happiness. I mean, like I had depression. Doctors like I mean, I was like sad. I don't know like exactly where it started or whatever perpetuated it, right? I'm like obsessed with trying to figure out those questions. I don't have all the answers yet.
Yeah,
But a huge aspect of it is saying, I am depressed. And I took that identifier into my worldview, and then and it just really solidified because I had like a strong label to associate to my emotions rather than like my ideal emotions.
that's really interesting because I've definitely noticed that that's one of the main things we have these days in our society. Where if you have a problem, one of the main things is to acknowledge that problem. Like whether it's Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever, and they have to just be like, "I am an alcoholic," and they're constantly reaffirming it to themselves. Do you think, based on your experiences with depression, when you were affirming that to yourself, that actually it would have been much better for you to be affirming the opposite because it would draw that into your reality? Or is that what you mean by that?
Absolutely. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Like if like you're someone who needs like to focus on happiness. Like if we told every depressed person like you're someone who needs to focus on happiness, or we told every alcoholic you're someone who needs to focus on sobriety.
yeah, yeah.
Like that's like just those few words to change that, like because then your belief is like you're able to believe in the right thing. But if all you're believing is like I'm depressed, I'm an alcoholic, like then what's going to happen? You're just going to keep being those things.
By stating affirmations and by saying something is a certain way, it becomes it. It's like if you're constantly reaffirming to yourself, I am depressed, and even if you're saying I'm getting better or I'm going to get better, you're still affirming that you're in this state where you're not better. So it's like, yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
A lot of it is like dress for success kind of like, but with your like attitude and your mood,
Yeah,
like more than just your clothes. Like how have you noticed that it works in your life? Because I feel like people who hear this are just going to be like, I don't know, it is a really difficult truth. It's a really hard thing to learn. So like and like to understand like that the power of it, because it's
well,
world changing.
and it's been watered down by so many cliches. Like we've heard about it in a lot of new age books that are clearly just for materialistic purposes. So it's like sometimes there's a resistance that we can feel to hearing these things because they've been like so overly saturated in the media to where we're almost feeling like it's not real anymore.
Yeah. It's like that go-to like cliche that
Mm,
no one
mm,
actually like fully understands or practices or
exactly. Yeah.
embodies. So yeah, how has it helped you in your life? Like
I can change the way that I see my whole reality just based on the way that I choose to look at it, which it seems like so obvious and easy, but like your reality can shift and change so deeply. And for me, where I have a lot of naturally paranoid or fearful thoughts, I can read into things that. Wait, can you hear me? Because it says there's an internet connection problem. I don't know.
I wonder if on your end it's not that bad. I don't know how it picks up your audio versus my audio, so it
Yeah, I'm
might
not
have.
sure either.
What were you saying?
Okay, so I was basically just saying that it's the way that I'm able to perceive reality. Things change based on how I look at them. So if I naturally look at something and I can read deeper into it and take a kind of fearful approach or a paranoid approach, then my whole reality will start shifting around that, and I will be making decisions based on those thoughts. So, for example, if you're paranoid that somebody is out to get you, then you're going to be avoiding that person, and that could cut off that entire aspect of your life. Which that could change the entire direction of your life just from a simple thought or a fear like that. And so, by simply just changing the perception and looking at something from the other side or from a more positive perspective, it like enables all these other things to come into your existence because you're not like blocking yourself out from all of those opportunities and things that can come your way. That's only one example of many, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And like there's the concept of self-fulfilling prophecy, which is, it's such a good study. Like they gave these people like a picture of somebody else and said, you're going to be talking to this person on the phone. They got a picture of you and they don't like you. They
Yeah,
looked at your picture and they don't like you.
yeah,
And so then when they talk on the phone, the other person hadn't actually gotten a picture.
yeah.
But when they talked on the phone, the other person ended up not liking them. But then, like, when they said, oh, this person has seen your picture and they really think you're attractive and like cool, then like they came off that way too to these people. And so
That's
then the other
amazing.
person would be like, oh, like, no, that person was like attractive and cool and like I
Hmm.
like them. So like even just in that interpersonal way, like however you're believing that other people are seeing you is how they see you. The truth is you have to tell them how you are.
I love that. That's so true. It's like that's what you were just saying about self-fulfilling prophecy. So many times we're nervous around people, so we start acting nervous and we come across as being nervous. But it's like the whole idea would be to try and embody that, like fake the confidence if you have to, basically, until you reach this point where that's just how you're gonna feel inside. That's how you're gonna be perceived. Your
That's how
fears.
everything is.
It seems so obvious and clear, but it's extremely hard to do it in a practical sense all the time and not kind of slip up. But you can catch yourself and just find ways of like embodying it all the time in your reality, and it makes such a huge difference to everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Like and I even like for me like I've been on this journey for a couple of years now and uh I've felt things that I believed for years finally solidify. You
Yeah,
know, like sometimes it takes years like of just believing something and just
yeah,
saying, "No, I believe in that," and like ignoring every other
hmm
thing.
that's
That's
incredible.
that's how I got into contact with like you know, the spirit realm absolutely because I wasn't before that, but I read all these books that explained it and then I started to believe it and see like how it could be true. And then it started happening to me and I believed it and now it's like
Right, so you didn't actually believe in the spirit world, but you were just like interested in it because you thought, well, there's a possibility it could be true. Is that what you mean? And then it just kind of started becoming your reality the more you like delved into it.
yeah, absolutely. So like at first I maybe like I wasn't aware of it more so, you know, like I didn't have any attention towards it.
Hmm
I didn't really know because I read a lot of like fantasy books and stuff, but I didn't realize that like there was like truth behind
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But then you find a few books where people are talking like it's truth and you're like, "Oh, that could be real."
Can,
And
can
then
you?
it becomes real and you're like, "Whoa." You know, because belief
Yeah,
makes real positive or negative.
exactly, and it really does, and it can create a hell or a heaven for your whole reality just based on how you're choosing to perceive it.
Yeah, and there's something so profound to be said about more than one person believing in the same reality or
Oh
like
yeah,
believing in something. Like two people who believe in something or more people than that who believe in something. That's like even like two people and 10 tasks feels like
yeah, you're halving all the work.
so much easier than 10 like than even five, yeah, five tasks. So for me like I started noticing like a lot of conspiracy theories on like and that's such a tough place to be in when you realize belief makes real because
It is,
you're
yeah.
putting all your energy into these conspiracies and you realize that you're the one like kind of
You're making the conspiracy into a reality. Yeah,
yeah, you're kind of like fueling it or powering it. I've gotten like way better at like turning my attention away from things that that negatively affect me.
yeah, same as me. Yeah, I mean, I lived for years doing the opposite. Every time I would see a symbol that would bring up some kind of trigger in me that would be negative, I would like go deeper into that, and it would affect my reality, and I'd start looking at things from a more fearful place, and it would just gradually, yeah, negatively affect me. And it's not until you kind of like divert your attention from that, or at least try and find a way to retranslate it to affect your reality on a positive level, then
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, yeah, rather than just ignoring it. It's like rather you're looking at something and transforming its meaning into what you need for your reality.
Yeah, because like if you have something that is like causing you to go into the state of fear, and you're gonna see the thing maybe, you know, like you see the news and like
Yeah.
there's like a horrible thing that's happened and like what can you do? Like you can just be like the news media is probably perpetuating this, you know, like
hmm
or you can just like even look inside yourself and be like, well, I'm so violently reacting to this. That means that in my heart, I'm like I'm such a so much further um away from that, you know, that I'm
Yeah.
revolted by that, that
Yeah.
I know that I'm making a difference in this world by shining bright. It
Exactly.
just translating it in your head so that it benefits you rather than harms you.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's the whole purpose of like you're basically painting your whole experience of reality to fit your vision, so you can translate things however you want, and you can open a book on a random page and translate that according to your life and make some kind of sense out of that, and it will mean something entirely different to somebody else. And that's how we can have so many different realities going on at the same time.
Yeah. And everybody is really truly creating their own realities. Like we are social creatures. So that's like that's part of it at least, right? That we've got this like social reality that's kind of
Yeah.
tying us all together. But there's more than that though, because we don't all fit in the same social reality.
Hmm. Exactly.
I mean, I guess there has to be a few things that tie us together, our physical forms and
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
language and that kind of thing. But um, I like what you were saying when we are talking about this. Like, all these realities all at once are turning into this harmonious state, like you said. But like overall, it's just like one thing.
Yeah.
Even though they're all working on these different levels, it becomes together to be like all one. So I think that's like probably the easiest answer that we can comprehend. I've had like a lot of insecurities with like other people, and like feeling like people don't like me or think that I'm weird or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, as soon as you let go of that fear, people stop thinking you're weird. And the power you have of taking ownership over that and being like, I'm going to say what I want to say. And it's like, this is what is true to my heart.
Hmm.
And you're like open with that expression. Like, you're going to do so much good for yourself and the world.
I know, because it then frees other people to do the same, because ultimately we're all trying to reach that freer place. And again, this is like where it comes to interpreting reality, that like reality in so many ways is designed to help us ascend into these greater heights. So there's messages around us at all times of the day, but they're just sort of concealed in our everyday interactions. And those messages are trying to speak to us and help us to reach those places of freedom.
We could look at this in like so many different lenses. Like, you said something like, your reality is always trying to tell you things. Like, and that's like a pretty weird statement for a lot of people. Like, why, how is that the case? Like, most people think of reality as being this like very inactive thing. And for me, that's not true. And for you, that's not true. But for many people, it is. So I don't think like, it doesn't even matter how you see reality. Like, even if you see it as like inactive and unalive and unresponsive, the truth of the matter is that our brains, even if you're just looking at our brains, see symbolism everywhere and have the potential to see symbolism in every single thing. So maybe our reality is programmed by like a higher being. Maybe, it's alive and it's interacting with us. Like, it doesn't even matter what part of that is true or false. What's
Yeah.
true is that there are symbols all around you, and you can pick them up and you can make them negative or positive. So why not choose the most beneficial?
I know, exactly. It's so obvious now that it's like this is what I really get from your music video, Pop Spirituality, because the whole video it just is constantly jumping between very hellish imagery and then heavenly imagery. So you've got angels and you've got devils, and you're seeing how it's just flicking between the two and how easily it is to completely transform your whole reality into either one of those things just by interpreting the exact same symbol and from either side. It's like right there in front of you all the time.
Yeah, and that's why I included the magician in that video too. Like, I think he doesn't have a big role, but he's so important because like he's the one who masters them both. He says like, I'm going to use both of these realms and like both of like the potential for these things, because the truth is like, even though you and I like both went down these like darker paths and we like saw all these like dark symbols and like put ourselves in these like boxes and like believed in like these dark conspiracies that were harming us, like we also like probably gained a lot. So that's not like a wrong way to be. It's just not really
It's
beneficial.
Yeah, and well, it's still beneficial in so many ways, but it's just that it's not enjoyable. Like you can
Yeah.
have like a really great experience and a really fun reality, and it's like the difference between playing or working, and same result, but you get paid to play or paid to work. Like, who's gonna choose work?
All work should be play.
Work is play.
It should be. No one should have to do work that doesn't feel like play.
I agree. The job itself would get done faster. It would be easier. Everything would just be like
Oh,
so much
efficiency would
better.
skyrocket.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. That's why all these big tech companies have like ping pong tables and like,
Hmm.
have fun. Yeah, here's some beer. Yeah. To bring that in, because it's so true, and like our spirits are just crushed at work. And the more like we become like enlightened on this planet, the more dramatic it is, I think. I have been able to trick myself with belief makes real, like, and that's how I've been able to get like into like jobs where I don't normally feel like I would
Yeah.
fit. But the whole like dress for success, like belief makes real. I'm just like, I can do this job. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like as competent as anybody else, and I can do this. And I just remind myself like a lot of like gratitude brainwashing. I'm so grateful to have this job, like
Hmm.
over and over again. But it gets to a point where I want to start believing that I can do something else,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's exhausting to really force force of belief. But it does solidify over time. You know, if you're really dedicated to any belief, like any belief that you have that you haven't, I have a whole section that I've written out that I haven't ever shared yet, but it's one of my favorite things I've written, and it's like how to logically believe something that you know is not true. And if you believe in your heart, like that's really the most important key. Like I don't believe in my heart that I'm great, like that I'm like thriving in the corporate world. Like I know that that's not true. I don't believe it in my heart. But if I did, I could.
Yeah,
I
I see what
could
you're saying. I think
legitimately.
that that is such an important key to point out because there is this kind of thing to differentiate between things that you're creating with belief that there isn't really in alignment with your heart, which you can do, like you said, like you can go and do a job that you're not necessarily naturally inclined to do just by convincing yourself that you are just as capable of doing this role. But then the difference between that and manifesting a reality that is in true alignment with your heart, where you're like, this is exactly what I want to do, and this is why I'm here on this earth, and I'm going to make that a reality. That one there is going to be so much smoother, and things are just going to
Oh, more powerful
so
and
much better in every way.
just
But
will feel good.
yeah, so like if you're forced in a situation you don't want to be in, you can definitely make it uh, more desirable by changing the way you look at it. But ultimately, it would be great to like break right out of that by believing your potential to be exactly what you're here for, which doesn't necessarily have to be restrained in any particular way that you don't
Yeah,
want to do.
that's such a good point. Okay, so on the smaller side of things, we've got like belief makes real, like you can do a job, you can change your mood, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What is like the biggest thing that we could do if we all believed something?
The whole universe would change. You can absolutely affect every aspect of reality. Like the more, especially with what you're saying about the community thing, the more people that get on board with the belief, the more solidified that belief becomes. And when it becomes like a really wide scale thing where people are like, yeah, we're sick of doing all the stuff we don't want to do. We're ready now for joy.
Rise up,
Yeah, we're ready for love. We're ready for freedom. All
dancing,
but yeah,
laughing,
just all of the fun things that we've been
freedom,
missing out on all this time. It's like once we're
family.
all equally ready for that, we will all just like throw down those jobs right in the middle of them. It's like we won't be waiting any longer. We'll be like, no, fuck it, I'm actually quitting today, right now. Like now I'm gonna be doing my life. This is my life. It's funny to me that so many people that do believe in a very sort of atheistic sense that this is our only life, that there's nothing after death and everything. Like, if I believe that, there's no way I would be spending 60 years in a job I don't want to do. You know? Like, if I thought this was my only opportunity to be alive.
That's so true. Like they don't have any like afterlife or any rebirth. Like this is
Yeah.
it, and they're just
So
like still spending their days at work.
I'd be going crazy. You know, like that's the thing. One of the main things that actually keeps me a bit more patient is the idea that I feel like I've had multiple lives, but if I got told that that wasn't the case, and I think it's kind of a good way to be, like, even if you do think that your time is limited, like a lot of the time when I've made albums, I've actually felt like, oh, I'm going to die soon. It's a weird thing that comes to me, and it drives me to finish the album. Like, it makes me do it so much faster because I'm like, well, I have to get this done before I die. And then I'll finish it and I'm like, okay, I'm actually not going to die. But it was just that thing that drove me. So it's like, it's so good even just to have that thread of death there. It's enough to like keep you on your toes. And I know there's this great line in a song. It's like in a Space Tribe song. They quoted it somewhere, and it's just somebody saying, "There is no more reincarnation for anyone on this planet. This is our last chance. This is our last life for everybody." And even though I don't necessarily believe that, when I hear those words, it fuels me because I'm like, all right, this is it. This is our last chance. Let's fucking
get
do
to
it.
get to your real work,
Yeah,
everybody. Get to your places.
yeah, exactly. And I think that is the kind of mentality we need to bring forth into this world. This kind of strong feeling like this is what we need to do right now. Like this is like no more waiting around, no more like just doing all these things we don't want to do. Let's just scrap it all and start.
There's no
You know,
point to it. And the more people who stop doing what they don't want to do, the more we can build a world where everyone can get by doing what
exactly.
they love.
Yeah, because if
Because
enough people refuse to do something, they're not going to be doing it. They're going to find alternatives. So many of these jobs can be done by machines. We have all the technology, and it's like
yeah,
we don't want it because it's like, oh, that'll put people out of jobs. But it's like we want to put people out of jobs because then
let us be free.
we want to be out of these jobs. We want to be free. That is our whole purpose.
Earlier you were saying like you felt like you were gonna die. Like I think that you can believe. I once almost killed myself. I think with my thoughts. I
Yeah.
think you can believe that you're gonna die to like the point. My grandma was actually telling me about this. She was saying that her one of her family members, like her dad or something, just kept repeating his whole life, like I'm gonna die this way, like with his stomach or
Hmm.
something. And
Hmm.
then he ended up having like all these health problems that weren't related to that.
Hmm.
And then at the very last minute, he died from his stomach
Oh
problems.
my god. Yeah. See, it makes so much sense because like
Like he just like totally brought in that reality and like and just by repeating it like over and over, like I'm gonna die young or all that stuff. And like you might not actually die young, but like if you really put a lot of your energy and belief into that, probably will. Something
it's still doing it.
weird.
It's pretty funny because we're just talking about having control over our reality, but this is controlling us. I can't. Yeah, it's all glitchy. I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
When you laugh at a scary thing,
Hmm.
that's like the most strong banishment because you don't believe that it has the power to put you in fear anymore.
Exactly.
Because laughter is like the opposite.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I for me, like whenever I have like health worries or like if I don't feel so good, I'm like, oh, my immune system is working strong.
Hmm.
I'm healthy on a cellular level, and
Yeah.
I just like really believe those things. And I think like through my belief, like that I really am much healthier.
I've had like times where spirits have tried to convince me that I'm going to die in a certain amount of time because I think that by me repeatedly thinking that, it's going to like turn that into a reality as well. Like I had an experience where I was going to go to a concert for one of my favorite musicians, and it would have been like getting on a flight to go there, and I was all like, I bought the tickets and everything, so like $500 was invested into the whole idea, and then I had this dream where I saw all of the airplane seats, but they were depicted as headstones, and I just heard this voice, like this demonic voice, just being like, "You're gonna die in 6 days," and then I woke up and I looked up when 6 days would be, and that would be the day that I would be on the plane, and I didn't know that, so like at the time, and like because this is a couple of years ago before I knew much about how we do create our own realities, and I believed it so strongly that I didn't go on the flight. I just forfeited all of that. That's an example of how our entire reality can be changed by a belief or a fear, because it's like you miss out on that whole experience because of your fear, and really it wasn't going to kill you at all, but your own belief is really what leads you into that darker place to begin with.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like, and I mean, do you think like ignoring it's almost like the plot of those silly movies, whatever they are about like cheating death. You know what I'm talking
Hmm.
about?
Hmm.
Um, but like by ignoring those symbols and being like, I don't know, like it's so interesting. Like that plane obviously didn't crash that
Yeah.
you didn't go on, you know? So you think like even in divination you should only pay attention to the positive?
I don't know, like with divination, everything. Obviously, there are negative things that can come to pass, and like with divination, it can be informing you that these things are around the corner to try and have you prepare for it mentally. But I think what you should really do is find a way of like taking that information and using it to your advantage to try and like turn it around so that it becomes something positive. The negative definitely exists and it works there, and it's there as a balance and a shadow to the light. But there's ways of like enabling it to your advantage, I guess.
Yeah, I see that. So people like you were saying earlier that you think the whole universe could probably change if we
Yeah,
um
definitely.
do you think like we could become immortal if we no longer believed in death?
We are immortal.
Do you think we could fly?
Yeah. I mean, there's a way of looking at it. Like
Yeah.
you can look at a plane and like you can look at a plane and say the plane can fly and I can't fly, or you could say I can't fly but the plane can. So it's
Or you
like
can say I can fly with the plane.
or that, yeah, exactly. But I mean, even within the framework of our restrictions, like believing ourselves to be restricted, you can still take that a step further. And instead of saying, "Oh, that plane can fly, but I can't," you can say, "Well, I can't fly, but the plane can." That's a completely like positive stance on the exact same statement. There's two different ways of looking at the same thing, but it's still within those boundaries. But then if you want to take it a step further up, reach a place where you're like, "I can fly," and you think it's like totally impossible to do these types of things, and people laugh and find that very far fetched, but it is surprising what is out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I mean, it's like really hard for like one person to believe that they can fly enough that they could like start flying. But if everyone in a town was like, we all like believe that this one
Yeah.
person can fly, you know, like I feel like
Yeah.
that person could probably fly.
Well, I mean, as a child, it was a very normal thing for me to think I could fly, and it was the same for all the people around me. I mean, I'm assuming most people go through this kind of phase as a child where they're like, "I know I can fly. We're gonna fly. We're gonna figure this out." And I remember, I would like run down these hills and like jump at the end, thinking, I know I'm gonna fly this time, and I would be determined, and I would try it like every day. And that is like total faith in believing that this is possible. And I remember actually capturing like moths and like taking all the dust off their wings and putting it all over my body, thinking that it must be the magical dust that makes them be able to fly. So I'm gonna collect all the dust and then I'll be able to fly. So there was always these like, as children, we're so convinced that we're able to fly because I feel like we came from a place where we could fly. So we're like, well, why can't we fly? And now it makes so much sense that we should be able to fly. And
Yeah.
so what I guess what I'm saying is I had 100% faith that I could fly then, and I didn't fly. So I wonder wonder why that is, because I would say that I truly believed it, or I wouldn't be trying it so consistently. Like,
Yeah, I think I figured this one out, or at least I got a good answer because I wondered that too, right? If I believe something so strongly, wholeheartedly, and it still doesn't happen,
hmm,
then does belief make real? And
yeah,
it's what I've labeled all the different levels of reality, and like that's what purpose that serves is like, okay, so you've got your personal reality, which is legitimate and valid, and like, and if you believed you were flying when you were like jumping, like
yeah,
that, and you really truly believe that you're flying at that point, like that's enough for you.
yeah,
But
that's
at the same
valid.
time, like there's physical reality, which is showing you that you're only kind of jumping, you
Yeah,
know?
hmm,
And then there's shared reality. And like I don't know, I think that the whole universe is built on this other perspective, like I think we're all part of this perspective also, but I think like every single object also has a perspective, and like it's hard for me to explain, but like I feel like when sometimes you believe wholeheartedly that you can do something and then like everything else like kind of stops you, it's like it it is like the legitimacy of everything else balancing out
hmm,
against you, if
hmm,
that makes sense.
it does.
And it's hard to walk that line between like, well, okay, and like it is true, like if you wanted to like quit your job and like go do something different, and like nobody else believed that you should, and everybody thought you should be working and chained to a desk, and like everyone thought you were just like total bonkers like for thinking that, like it would be very difficult for you.
Yeah,
But that's where like when we have technology that works within the bounds of physical reality, when we have shared belief that works in the social reality, we have to really kind of attack all the different levels of reality when we want something to
exactly.
come into existence.
And with this community spirit where you have a lot of people believing and focusing on the same thing, I mean, it's 100% realistic and possible.
Yeah. So you do that, and then also technology, like a lot of spiritual people like reject technology or like think it's you
Yeah,
know
we need like an integration of both.
yeah, because that's part of our reality, like, and
Yeah,
using technology to shape our reality is like super 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 powerful.
yeah, exactly. So if even the idea of using something else to fly, you make a spaceship to fly, you're still reaching that ultimate goal of flying, but through the medium of technology. I mean, I've gone through all these visual trance, really powerful visualizations where I've been in all kinds of very imaginary like realms, but I've met beings there that have given me real information that has helped me in this everyday world. It's no different to if I'd gone and visited someone on the other side of the world and they'd, met some amazing people that taught me all these things or meet all these spiritual gurus, but it's all happening in these inner worlds and these sort of like, you know what I
It's like
mean?
not shared reality, it's not physical reality, but your personal reality and your spiritual reality.
Like, yeah, like it actually does change your personality. It's no different to interacting with other people because you're getting real information from them. And then what you notice is even through those things, they start having effects on the physical world. The things that you start seeing in these inner worlds seem to have these repercussion effects in the outside world, and you start seeing, like, I've met beings in these inner worlds who I've then later met in physical worlds. So it's like, I don't know whether I manifested them or whether I was just tapping into them and they were already there or whatever, but it's like, there's so many crossover points where the things that you're doing in that internal world can manifest.
Yeah, that's so interesting, especially with like the people, like were you
Yeah,
sensing that person before? Like, I don't know, that's wild. Like Tesla had he preferred the company of the people in his visions
yeah.
to the people he knew, in the real
Yeah,
world.
well, that makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, me too.
I can consult them, like if I need the answer to a question that I just can't find, I can, go into those inner worlds and consult these beings that are able to really give me these profound answers that I just wouldn't be able to tap into. And I don't know, I mean, whether you can say that they're an aspect of yourself or whether you're tapping into something
It doesn't
higher than you.
matter.
It really doesn't matter because you get the
It
effects.
you get the answers.
Yeah, the result
And
is the
that's
same.
that's the same with like seeing the symbols and like interpreting them. Like it doesn't matter if these symbols are being placed for you by, a government or
Hmm.
by a god or by it doesn't matter. Like you can choose who you want to see the symbols from even.
Exactly, is how you look at it. I mean, you look at at like a bird, looking for worms in the ground, and it cocks its head to the side because it's listening for the worms. And if you were a paranoid person and you didn't know that it was looking for worms, you might look out the window and you see this bird like with its head tilted to the side with this one eye looking at you, and you're like, that bird is watching me. And then you're like, and that bird he's like listening. He's got his head tilted to the side. He's totally listening to me. He's trying to pick up on our conversations. And and somebody else can look at that and they're like, no, he's just like trying to listen for the worms. He's about to catch this worm. And so, it's like two entirely different perspectives that change the entire reality based on how it's perceived.
And your experience and how you act and
Yeah,
then what
everything.
comes to you because the energy that you're putting out there and
I mean, you might start going around killing birds because you think,
don't say that, it's awful.
but you know what I
What if
mean?
he was
Like that.
what if he was delivering like a message to like someone else who's like on your team?
Yeah,
He's like listening to you because he's protecting you.
exactly. Exactly. So there's so many ways, and so why not just interpret things in a way that's going to positively benefit? I suppose the line where that gets to is this idea of fear, like this idea that fear is there to protect us from danger, and how if we blindly believe something to be for our benefit when it really isn't.
If you're on a cliff face,
Yeah.
you know, and you're like, I'm perfectly safe, and you're like
Hmm.
obviously not because you're like standing right on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's like I don't know where that line is
I
because
know.
that's like we said, like that's physical reality, that's shared reality. These are other people and other things that can potentially interact with us in ways that do make the universe into this like more chaotic thing.
Yeah. So it's like there's a line. I mean, I know in the intro of the book Red Dragon, I'm pretty sure it's in that where Thomas Harris talks about this person who went into a lion's den saying, if God is real, he'll protect me, and the lions just ate him. Um, and like that was, I mean, that is true belief because like he wouldn't have walked into that unless he really believed. And so
Yeah.
we're seeing this whole thing of like, I don't know. This is just where it gets so confusing to try and like portray this point because it's like it doesn't seem to have these things in reality that verify it. But I think what it ultimately comes down to is realizing that we're so much more than these physical forms. Like you have to look at it from the biggest possible scale. It's like it's because we're so limited to these ideas of these physical forms that we think, well, that didn't work. He didn't get saved. But so many times things are being revealed and shown to us in other ways because in the big picture that would have taught something more profound.
Yeah, I wonder too, I really just wonder about the power of like community belief, like if everybody in a village was like, we're at peace with the lions, like,
Yeah,
you
true.
know,
Yeah,
and like
actually,
you never had any strife with the lions and you guys like really respected each other, like would that lion have eaten that guy? Or is it only
yeah,
because you went into this situation where there was no like pre-established safety?
that is such a great point you just brought up because what if it was because obviously there were a lot of people watching this event and like what if it was the fact that I mean, say even if you have 20 people and they all they're putting all this fear out, like, oh my god, he's gonna get
And
eaten
they're
by
like,
the
please,
lion,
it's gonna
like,
eat that guy.
and then you've just got this one guy who's like, he's got amazing belief, but that's not enough to counteract like 20 people. So
Exactly.
that's incredible. That's a beautiful way to look at it. Uni alarm time.
Yep, it's almost time for 7 p.m.
Oh yeah, true.
What should I do?
Where anything is possible.
I can do anything. I can do anything. I can fly.
So yeah, anything is possible, and belief does make real. And if you feel like yeah, much power. But if you say it's really stupid that I have to work to get money and the government should all give everyone, you know, $2,000 a month, and then everybody thinks that, then the government would give us all $2,000 a month, and we wouldn't have to work for our rent.
It has to start from that individual, and then it's going to turn into more. And you're the prime example of that. You are somebody who started with an idea yourself, just you, and then, you know, believed in it for so long that now look at it, like in this short time, the things that's happened, the amount of people that are on board with it, supporting you, agreeing, and like fully this whole community atmosphere. And it's obviously going to just keep growing from there. This is like early small stages, but it just shows how one individual with persistent belief is going to absolutely change everything they want, because as long as you just hold on to that, and then a lot of people will start to.
It's so true, and like my journey specifically is so interesting because I was just alone saying, I'm gonna change the world. I'm gonna get a group of people together who are gonna change the world, and like nobody else was actually on board. But now, like, because I said that and other people believed me, like believed my belief, now they're saying the same thing, and then other people are gonna believe their belief, and they're gonna believe. And it's like, it's amazing. It's all belief.
There's so many colors, there's so many points of view. There'll always be somebody hating everything you do. Some people tell you you're never good enough, make you believe that there is no such thing as love. We're gonna make it, we're gonna be alright. When I waited till some future day or future life, when I waited to find out if there's a paradise when we die. Cause right now at least we know that we're alive, and we can dance and play every single day, joining hands with everybody. We can laugh and sing, we can all do anything. We're not working for anybody. We think we're free in this deformation age. Another fake musician on the TV getting laid. Another preacher telling lies and getting paid. Another prisoner being locked away for our mistakes. It's so disappointing that the human race is gone. Everybody's doing everything they know is wrong. By the time you've made your fortune, you'll be dead or you'll get robbed. Life's so short, why waste these moments on another fucking job when we can dance and play every single day, joining hands with everybody. We can laugh and sing, we can all do anything. We're not working for anybody. There's so many colors, there's so many points of view. There'll always be somebody hating everything you do. Some people tell you you're never good enough, make you believe that there is no such thing as love.